What's up, guys? Ricky here. Do you love Most Valuable Podcasts? And are you like myself where things that you like, you just have to let people know because they've got to be on your t-shirt at all times? If you do, you're in luck because we got Most Valuable Podcast t-shirts. You've probably seen myself, Dave, Mark, Sean, Brandon. You might have seen us wearing these t-shirts in videos. The good thing is now you can get your hands on one too. How do you do so? First off, send us an email, mostvaluablepodcast@gmail.com. Give us your name, your size, your address. We will then send you an invoice through Square. That's how you'll pay for it, $22 per shirt. And then after we get the money, we will send you a great Most Valuable Podcast t-shirt for you to wear so you can tell everybody that you love listening to Most Valuable Podcasts. So go check it out. The directions are also in the description. What are you waiting for? We got the shirts just for you. But Mark, let's move on into our final 22 through 32. If you're checking us out on podcast services around the world, you guys are a champ listening all the way through. If you guys catch this on YouTube, catch out the other segments as well, 1 through 10 and then 11 through 21. But Mark, take us through your last 11 picks of the 4.0 mock, starting with the Bills via the Chiefs at 22.
So Bills going at number 22 with Connor Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. Then I'm going to have the Rams at 23 with Marcus Davenport, the defensive end out of Texas, San Antonio. Ronnie Harrison, safety out of Alabama, going to the Panthers. Mo Hurst, friend of the show, defensive lineman out of Michigan, going to the Titans at 25. Falcons going to go with Isaiah Wynn, the guard out of Georgia. Now for the Saints, Wynn, you didn't expect to see him on the board.
No.
Look at him, he's here. I like him. Leighton Vander Esch, linebacker out of Boise State. One of the funnest names to say. Then Steelers at 28 going to Darius Juice, the running back. I like saying Juice because it's so close. I really want him to be Juice out of LSU. Jaguars, Christian Kirk, wide receiver, Texas A&M. Will Hernandez, the guard out of Texas El Paso, going to your Minnesota Vikings. Dallas, this one I actually don't know how to say. What is his last name?
Dallas Goddard.
Goddard.
It's like the Goddard School. That's
it doesn't help me. The tight end out of South Dakota State to the Patriots. And Martinez Rankins, tackle, Mississippi State.
You know what you saying
Eagles.
Darius Juice reminds me of?
What?
That I'm going to say god-awful confession from OJ. Did you catch that on Fox? Because I didn't catch it either. I just caught the highlights from it.
I didn't watch that, but I heard people talking about it.
That's what you reminded me of because people, I think it was, who was it? Doug Gottlieb had the best tweet after the bracket was announced and stuff. He goes, so wait, OJ just said, he just confessed to murder and we're still arguing that Kentucky's a 5th seed. That's where our priorities are. That's what I thought about when you said Juice, because we can't call him Juice because then people just think of OJ who did it.
I wish.
Well, hypothetically, he did. If he
Allegedly.
was to do that, then that's what he would. That's what I'm gonna do. Whenever someone catches me doing something, well, it's like, well, did you punch him? Well, no. Hypothetically, I punched him. It was a hypothetical punch.
If I were to punch him,
hypothetically, I assaulted.
This is what would have happened.
If I did, but Ricky, that's what you did. No, hypothetically, that's what I would have done.
I still want to call him Juice.
You do?
Yeah.
Darius Juice from LSU.
It's a cool ass name.
Let's go through my bottom 11. At number 22, the Bills taking Jerome, bringing the pain, defensive tackle from Alabama. Then the Rams at 23 going Billy Price, the center from the Ohio State University. Panthers at 24. I know they just traded for Torrey Smith. Don't matter. Alan Lazard, the wide receiver out of Iowa State, the Cyclones. Then at 22, Mike Hughes going to the Titans, not Texans, Titans, cornerback from UCF. The Falcons at 26, taking friend of the show, Mo Hurst, the D lineman from Michigan. Then the Saints going quarterback from Louisville, Lamar Action Jackson. That's why I said not quite. He is going in this first round. He is going to the Saints. Then the Steelers at 28 going Ronnie Harrison, the safety from Alabama. Jaguars go Dallas Goedert, the tight end from South Dakota State. Vikings go Martinez Rankin, the offensive tackle from Mississippi State. Isaiah Oliver, the cornerback from Colorado, goes to the Patriots. And then DJ Moore, the wide receiver from Maryland, going to the Eagles, who just have a opening at wide receiver because they traded Torrey Smith. So that rounds out our first round. And the first team, I'll let you pick. Out of the 4 we have highlighted on the spreadsheet, who do you want to talk about first? Rams, Panthers, Steelers, or Jags?
I'm going to say let's go with the Rams. Start up on top.
All right.
So I think it's interesting with the Rams because they
made some moves.
They made a lot of moves, and they're one of those teams that truly can go BPA.
Because we've talked about the Marcus Peters deal. Then they go ahead and get Talib, so that's 2 corners. They don't really need a corner there. They could just go, like you said, BPA, who's the best. Yeah. I still think offensive line is who you go with and sure up that center spot with Billy Price.
I think that's more, that is going a little bit more with the need, but, there's nothing wrong with that for sure. But I definitely liked the idea of Marcus Davenport, defensive end, because they have such a great strength.
Well, if he's there, you take him.
They have such a great strength there on that defensive line and on that pass rush that they have to just make it even deadlier. This team scores more points than most teams can even think about scoring. So if you can then be able to put that much extra pressure on a quarterback, you're going to easily win games next year. No problem. No questions asked.
Do you see them maybe going like wide receiver because of the fact of everything that's going on with what's going on with the wide receivers with there? I know that I believe they made some moves wide receiver wise, but could that be a position they look at if they're not going to go edge, if they're not going to go center?
They could, but I wouldn't really expect it. They certainly could make that move. I don't necessarily know that the value is really going to be there for them at this point. And there's some pretty decent depth at wide receiver to where they can probably make it happen in the second round. But yeah, I definitely think that really for the Rams, they're just going to take whatever is the best option for them right there. The Rams, honestly, if I'm them, I'm going to...
Because that's right. Sammy Watkins is with the Chiefs. That's who he signed with.
I think that if I'm the Rams, obviously I wish I was a little bit further back in the draft because that means I did better in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I wish that there was somebody I could then call, in the second round, top of the second round, and say, do you want to trade back up into the first round? Is there somebody you want? Do you want one of these quarterbacks? Let's pretend like a Josh Allen is on the board or a Josh Rosen's on the board still. You call those guys up and say, hey, you didn't get your quarterback in the first round. Do you want him now? Get that 5th-year option? Because the Rams are such a solid team already.
Could you do the same
that they could do that to trade back and get more picks for the future.
Could you do the same thing with like a Lamar Jackson or a Mason Rudolph?
You could.
Do you think any team would want? It might not be as appealing as the top 5. The top 5 of quarterbacks is what I'm saying. But do you think they could pull off a move like that where it's like, hey, you didn't get a quarterback, you didn't get any of the top 5? We are offering you this pick.
I don't think you can because I'm going to sit there and say, yeah, I could trade up to 23, but I feel like I can probably trade to 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and with the Rams, to me, like both of us technically have them going need. More so the second and third need with linebacker being the best. But really, I find like the Rams have an interesting spot to me because cornerback, they've shored up. Wide receiver, they could go because this could be the part where it's like, oh, we have the plethora of wide receivers. We need to replace one with Sammy Watkins not being there anymore. And really the only free agent they've signed right now is Roby Coleman, the cornerback that they're basically re-signing. They got him to a 3-year deal, $15.7 million per year. So they haven't signed any wide receivers. They lost a big wide receiver, I'll say, especially big for this past year. It's interesting to see where the Rams kind of go. However, going wide receiver-wise, the Panthers, they're a team forever. Hey, they need a wide receiver. They go and trade with the Eagles in a trade that I was surprised at. Like, Eagles gave up Torrey Smith. So does this change the Panthers' kind of trade logic to where it's like, hey, I know Ricky said we take a wide receiver, but we don't need to take a wide receiver. We're going somewhere else.
I think it can, and I think that also the Panthers have kind of shown in the past that they don't really care much about wide receivers. So
Well, they just trade Calvin Benjamin on a whim.
right? So I don't
Ted
necessarily
Ginn, bye.
know.
You can walk.
I definitely decided to have them go more of the defensive route because, that is obviously defensive back. They need a little bit of help there. They've needed help since Josh Norman left. I know Josh Norman wasn't a safety, but still. They needed some help in that case. And you addressed this one need, so you can kind of move on to the next thing, and that's all right. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do, in fact. And I did debate, not Lazard, but I did debate having them go with Christian Kirk here. It could have worked, but I just kind of was thinking of, one, value, but two, it's also one of those situations where I just thought, I don't know if that's the right guy for him. I don't know if that's who they would want.
Here's a question I've got for you. It's only because of who I don't have in my first round that you do, and that's Connor Williams. Is if Connor Williams, you are speaking now in my round.
Yeah.
Connor Williams is on the board. Ronnie Harrison is on the board. What are you going with more if you're the Panthers? If you had to pick one need to go with, are you going to go with an offensive lineman? Let's say Connor Williams is still there because you had Connor Williams ahead of Harrison. Do you still go with Harrison then with that 24th pick? Or do you say, you know what, Connor Williams is there. We need to protect Cam?
Well, I really like Ronnie Harrison. I really do. Alabama safeties are top quality for sure. But you got to put value in protecting your quarterback, especially a guy like Cam Newton who gets hit a lot.
Gets hit a ton.
Yeah, more than pretty much anybody else. He gets hit a lot. I mean, the man wears what's his vest?
Kevlar.
There we go. Can't think of it in my head or say it. He's wearing this big old vest to protect himself because he gets hit so much. They made a big stink about how they won't throw flags for Cam. They won't flag somebody for hitting the defenseless quarterback here, roughing the passer or anything like that. So you kind of have to do something to protect him. And Connor Williams, man, this is a good tackle that a lot of people are just kind of ignoring. They're just kind of not putting any value into him.
A flak jacket is what it's called.
There you go.
He wears a flak jacket in games, but not in practice.
Yeah.
Kevlar, I'm thinking about, hey, we're getting bullet shot at
Well,
us.
I think that's the fun of it right there. That makes it more fun.
He's wearing a Kevlar vest while he's getting hit. But no, like the Panthers, to me, I almost was like, you know what? Maybe it's because, we could protect Cam or we could just give him another weapon. Because Torrey Smith, I'll ask you, do you think he changes the needle any for the Panthers? Obviously the Eagles didn't think he contributed. The way I see it is, we just won a Super Bowl. Yeah, Alshon did more than you. Bye.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it.
I don't really think that Torrey Smith really changes that much. I mean, he changes a little bit. I mean, maybe you can win one game that you weren't going to win before, or maybe two, but I don't think he really makes that big of a difference for the Panthers here.
What about moving on? The team, when I asked which ones do we need to talk about, you said, yes, we do. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You got him going Darius Geis.
Juice.
Do you think by that pick, you're basically saying that Le'Veon Bell is going to be on the way out with the franchise tag?
I don't necessarily know if he is going to be on the way out because here's the way I look at it. I am going to take Le'Veon Bell at his word. He said he will not play for the franchise tag.
So he's not playing this year?
Yeah. So my thought is, all right, well, there's no deal getting done, so
basically
he's not playing.
Nut up or shut up is basically what you're saying?
And for me, if I'm the Steelers, this is me saying, well, all right, we got Geis.
Yeah, you're not going to play, he will.
Yeah, I've got a running back now. And I've got enough offensive weapons to where I know Geis is a little bit more power back kind of guy than what Le'Veon's going to be. But you can work with that. You can make that work in this offense because of all the passing weapons that you have and because of Big Ben's talent, who is still there. You can make this happen where I can say, all right, Geis will be able to lead us to success. If you want to come back, fantastic. We would love to have you, but you know what? We don't really need you.
And the thing that's interesting is how you have Geis, because both the big board and my draft didn't have another running back in besides Saquon. It's funny that both you and Brandon, within this range, this kind of third segment for us, first segment for the big board, you guys both had Darius Geis in there. I believe with Brandon, they had him a little bit in because we only go to 25 with that. But it's interesting to me, will there be a running back that slips in here late in the first round? A Nick Chubb, a Darius Geis,
I don't know about
Jones from USC. Will one of them slip in here in the late first?
I feel like one of these guys probably will. You have some teams that they don't really need
The
to
Patriots?
have. Yeah, I mean, that's really the only ones in the later rounds that really need a running back. All these other teams essentially have their running back situation figured out. That's the thing that makes it difficult need-wise, but I think it's a good value right there. It's a good way to get him. On the flip side, though, you might have a team like the Browns or something that can hope that he's there for when they come back in the second round. If they don't get
take Saquon.
Yeah. If they go with a quarterback first instead and then take, I don't know, maybe Nick Chubb or something like that. Or hope that Quentin Nelson can play tackle. It's just one of those things where the need isn't really there. There's really only like one team, maybe the Steelers as well, if they're using my mindset of thinking that, well, Bell, all right, we'll move on. That's okay.
Well, and it's interesting because will Le'Veon Bell go with his word, basically? And it almost reminds me of what we talked about with Kirk Cousins in a way, where you sat here and said, if Kirk signs with the Vikings, then yeah, he's telling the truth.
Yep.
But if he signs with the Jets, then no, he's not telling the truth. It's all about the money. You said we will see. With Le'Veon, it's the same situation. We will see. Is he going to play? Is he not? Is he going to feel the pressure of like, you know what, fine, I'll play because it's the Steelers and they're usually an organization that's all about the team and not about, like, the Steelers will sell you out because it's about the team, not the individual player. It's about playing for that logo, playing for that city, being the team, not being an individual player. Kind of a little bit, a lesser degree of the Patriots are that on steroids, where it's you are a Patriot, it is all about the team on the front first, not the name on the back, kind of Yankee style when they don't have the names on the back. I feel like the Patriots would almost do the same thing, and I know Boston just had a heart attack that I compared them to a New York team, but I mean
evil empire.
The evil empire. But you look at running back wise, like I was saying, the Patriots could be interesting because right now they've got James White's locked down until 2021. Gillislee's up next year. Bolden's up next year. They're losing right now. Burkhead could come back, but they're losing Dion Lewis. And actually, I think they are losing Brandon Bolden. I think they did cut him. I'm not sure about that, but they could be a team that's like, hey, you know what? We don't need a stout running back. Screw it. Let's take one of these guys, and they can just join the platoon and fill in for a Dion Lewis or a Rex Burkhead, or they can say, screw it, we'll take one later.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots are that tricky team for me of what are they really going to do? Trade back, take someone, not take someone? Bill Belichick just sits there. We're not making a pick. We're just not making a pick.
You could, why not?
We're going to forego and forfeit our draft pick. What about the last team we're going to talk about today? The Jacksonville Jaguars. You got them going wide receiver.
Yep.
I got going with tight end. Why'd you have them going with Christian Kirk? Is it because they lost Allen Robinson?
You just lost Allen Robinson.
To replace him?
Yeah, I mean, you got what do they got right now? Dante Moncrief and Marquise Lee, I think, are like the top guys there right now.
They got Lee back.
Yeah, they signed him back, and I think they signed Moncrief.
They signed Moncrief, you're right, to a 1-year deal, $7 million. And they signed Marquise Lee to a 4-year, $34 million deal.
So you're not in a terrible situation for wide receivers, but I sit there and thinking you just lost Allen Robinson. I mean, that is
who was injured
talent.
last year. So basically for the Jaguars, it's like, whatever, we got to the AFC title game without you.
You did, but wouldn't it have been nice to have a quality wide receiver?
It would have been.
You know, that's what I kind of looked at it for. And Jaguars are one of those teams where
they still got Allen Hurns, so now it's Allen Hurns.
That's true.
And
They
Marquise
do have Allen
Lee.
Hurns. But I look at the team and I think, you're a pretty stacked team. You're the team that can take that shot and say, yeah, we'll take one more wide receiver.
The only reason why I didn't have them go wide receiver is what you're expecting. I expect the 1-2 punch to be Marquise Lee, Allen Hurns. Maybe Moncrief is your third guy on the depth chart, but you're expecting Jalen Strong to play a little bit better, be that guy that he was early in his career with the Houston Texans. What are you going to get out of Dede Westbrook, who's entering his sophomore year. You're expecting him to make a progression, get up there. Didi's the one I really look at. Because, like, an Aurelius Ben is kind of like you've been on so many teams, just be somebody that can maybe catch the ball if your name is called. But really, the ones I look at, the 5 I look at, Lee, Hearns, Moncrief, and then Strong and Didi Westbrook in those orders. I look at the tight end, though, and it's like, yeah, you've got Mercedes Lewis, but you could use someone at that tight end position. Why not? I know you're bringing in Niles Paul for a 2-year deal, but why not go out there? Why not grab a Dallas Goedert and say, hey, you know what? Mercedes Lewis has been on a good run, but you're kind of towards the end, more so the beginning. We're going to draft a rookie to kind of transition from you.
I think an issue for Goddard, though, just fit-wise, is when I imagine the Jaguars and what they would really want out of a tight end, I imagine they want someone, because they are very run-focused, that they would like to have somebody that can block, and I don't think you're going to get that with this pick. So I just wonder about that, if that would be a good fit for them in that case. But, you know, it's not bad to have a receiving option, because we both went for receiving options.
Could the Jaguars, and I'm going to throw out the same question I asked for that you asked for the Rams, could the Jaguars potentially start well, you know what? We're not going to take a wide receiver or a tight end. What team wants a quarterback?
Oh,
Lamar
I definitely think
Jackson,
this is a
Mason
good spot
Rudolph.
for it.
Is this the beginning of it, or were the Steelers the beginning of it?
No, I think the Steelers have some things they could do. I think, honestly, the Steelers has a chance they could draft a quarterback. They could just do it. Big Ben's not going to be around for that much longer.
True.
But yeah, the Jaguars definitely. If the Steelers don't draft a quarterback, I think the Jaguars should probably pick up the phone and say, all right, who wants it? Anybody want to trade up?
Do you think any team, I'll ask you this, but 29 through 32, is there going to be a team that moves up for a quarterback in this round? And if so, which from 29 to 32 is making that deal?
Well, it depends on who didn't get their quarterback. I mean, in my situation,
Let's say,
for example,
based
the Broncos.
off of your situation.
The Broncos and the Jets both, let me double check on the Jets. I have the Jets draft quarterback. I did not. I didn't think so. So the Broncos and Jets both did not draft a quarterback. Those are both two teams that need a quarterback. In that case, I would see the Jets trading up. The Broncos, I still think maybe they're going to try and force the Case Keenum thing. And Teddy Bridgewater, he's young. There's still potential. It's just the injury.
1-year deal.
Exactly. You know, it's just the
Which
injury.
Which is safe, because it's like, hey, show us you can play, and then we'll reward you.
Yeah, for them. Although it could be dangerous in the case of, like, well, you could have gotten him really cheap if he becomes really good.
When now he decides to go somewhere else after 2018.
Yeah, but the problem is, for when I think of Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't want to insult your guy because I know he's your guy.
I still love Teddy.
But
even though he's going to be green and white,
he was just an above average quarterback.
I love him.
He was not amazing. He's not bad, but he's just above average. So even so, if I'm the Jets, I'm thinking I might need to trade back up and get somebody.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this mock draft up?
My final thoughts is that they're going to change again very soon, because free agency's not done yet. Things are still going to happen.
Now, here's a question I want to ask for you in front of everyone.
Okay.
I'm going to have this conversation on the podcast rather than off the podcast. For the 5.0, because I know you've mentioned this before.
Yep.
For the 5.0, do you and I do trades? Where basically, if, let's say, for the 5.0, the Bills work out a trade with the Colts, in my mock draft, the Bills are now at 3. Do we do that for the 5.0?
I don't think we do that. I don't think that me and you do that, because it's the way we have our podcast set up, where we both have our mock drafts at the same time. The lineup is set. Exactly. And it gets weird and wonky when you start saying, well, I had this team trade, and I don't think that's a good fit.
Should we do a joint one that's with trades? Or it would probably be too close. I just wanted to throw it out there because it's a thought I had for this one.
I would like to do the joint one with multiple people involved, where each person has 4, 5, 6 teams, whatever it might be. I think that'd be fun.
If you guys would like to see that, let us know down below in the comment section. We're all for doing draft content.
Yeah.
Love it. So if you guys want to see an extra mock draft, let us know. If you want to see a trade mock draft, this is where you guys get to tell us also what you think about anything we talked about in this segment, anything we talked about in this podcast. Housekeeping here at the end. If you liked what you saw, liked what you listened to, make sure to support us on Patreon so that we can do more cool stuff for you guys. Make sure to get an MVP t-shirt. That store is down below in the description. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where everything goes for MVP each and every day. Last but not least, if you're on Apple Podcasts, you have iTunes, you're not listening to it, but you do, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. Give us a 5-star. Tell them how much you love Mark, hate Ricky, how much you love Mark, love Ricky. You can write pretty much whatever you want. Just give us that 5-star rating. That's what we really, really want. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening to podcast services around the world. As always, have a good day, everybody.